All right, well, here we are again in my little home studio that I refer to as the Bear's Den. My name is George Mason, and of course, I'm a violinist and, well, multi instrumentalist. I guess I play like 8 instruments, but this is my main deal here, the violin. And wanted to talk today about something interesting. This is an educational kind of video. Um, if you're a big Charlie Parker fan, then you'll probably be aware of the fact that Charlie Parker was the one that was famous for uh, practicing at least. I don't know if he ever performed it, but he practiced or was known for this practicing the song Cherokee in all 12 keys. So that was kind of a big deal. And a lot of your jazz programs, like if you go to some of the big schools like Berkeley, that kind of thing, they've got a lot of things that will cause you to do certain kinds of musical workouts, if you want to call it that, to where you'll be required to play in all 12 keys fluently, which is a great thing for you as an instrumentalist. And so that song Cherokee, it's full of these 2-5-1 progressions and some interesting movements. And the way they're set up, because it changes keys when it goes to the bridge, and the way it's set up, if you were to play it in all 12 keys, it would cause you to encounter, I won't say every possible chord change or every possible weird movement, but it would cause you to encounter a lot of what's out there that you could run into as a player, improvising. And so if you're a jazz guy and you want to become a really, really good improviser, I would suggest practicing that song in all 12 keys. And I've already posted a video where I just laughingly run through all 12 keys and was, just kind of blew through them for fun. But today I wanted to talk about things that are probably more particular to the violin itself. Idiosyncrasies of the instrument. So that would be actually dealt with maybe doing that. We're keeping the original key now, and if you know the original melody, and it changes keys, goes to the C sharp minor here. And uses that to go back to the original key. So it's kind of throwing through it. And if you look at the chord changes, it starts on B flat, then to F minor, B flat, E flat, E flat minor, then the A flat, then back to the B flat. That's the C chord there. I do like a tritone thing. Sticking that F sharp right in the middle of it. Then C minor. And back to F. I think I may have skipped over one in there as well. So that kind of a thing. So here's what's really cool about it. So if you look at your keys, and on violin, keys, they're still related to each other. So let's look at the very beginning of it. Get the B flat. You go to an F minor, which is really an A flat, right? So B flat to A flat. What are we doing? We're only adding a couple of flats. Back to B flat. So you're adding 2 flats, and then go back to B flat, where we were. So it goes 2 flats, 4 flats, back to 2. And then E flat, which is 3 flats. And then E flat minor, which is basically G flat. And that's adding a whole lot of flats, or it could be an F sharp, B flat. Alright, so now here's where we get to start looking at some things. It's about shapes, okay? So you can look at music in a couple of ways. You can look at it as a math equation, where it's how many flats do I have in this particular key or this chord change. And if you look at each chord change as being like a microcosm of that's like the song is the universe that you're working within, with all of its chord changes and its melody. And then each chord change is like a little like a little solar system, shall you say? We could say like it's a solar system inside of the universe, right? And that solar system or that chord change has a shape that goes with it. So you have your B flat scale that goes with your first chord. So the B flat scale has, F. Excuse me, it has two flats, B flat and E flat. So you have the shape off that, but the shape is this. And if you look at it, so it's that shape, right? So as a string instrumentalist, now this doesn't really apply to horns so much. I play trumpet, so I kind of get that. There are, you could say that the keys on the brass instruments or even the woodwinds have a shape, but on these instruments especially, they do have a shape. It's a repeating shape that goes from string to string as you cross over and from octave to octave. So the best way to handle one of these like this is to take the time to learn how to play, and this gets interesting, how to play that B flat scale, for example, here, starting on the middle finger, or I can also start on the first finger, or I could even do something really weird and start way down here, but that's a little out of character for the scale. But once I get here, so here, index finger, or here, so I can go the second position, so like pinky finger, or I can do it third finger, which puts me in third position. Or I can go to fourth position, use my middle finger, or index finger, fifth. So it allows me to have different shapes to play out of B. Again, we can see it. Once you get those shapes kind of under your hand, under your fingers, and you know what they are, it makes it a whole lot easier. Because then what you want to do is you want to assign a shape to a sound, okay? Over time, playing scales. This is why it's funny, even after all these years of playing, we still got to practice scales, okay? So I've been playing forever, it seems like. And but scales are still important because scales help me assign a sound to a shape, right? So I'm bypassing the thought process of, the mathematics side of it, you might say, like going 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. You see that? So 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. If I change strings right in the middle of that, I can do that and think of it as a math equation. But you don't have time to even think about that. So now we're going to bring out one more little interesting tidbit to go with it. So you've probably heard that music is literally a language. And it honestly is. So if I'm having a conversation with you like we're talking right now, I'm doing all the talking, you're doing the listening, but I'm not sitting here actively thinking of each individual word that I'm going to say and how it's spelled and how it's going to be pronounced and how I'm going to say it. We're way, way past all that, right? So you get to a point where you assign words to images that you see in your mind, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm assigning shapes of my fingers, patterns and things with my hand, whatever they are, to sounds that live in my mind, right? And remember, your ears are just sound catchers. So the actual hearing and analyzing of what you hear is in here, is in your brain, right? So your brain's doing all that work. So you hear with your mind or your brain, really, in all honesty. And like a language, I hear somebody else in the band play something and I will adjust to what they're playing because I'll hear what they did. I don't hear it and go, that's a minor 7 flat 5, also known as a half diminished, that has these certain specific notes in it. I'm not thinking anything like that. I did all that thinking when I was first figuring out what the scale patterns were to get the shapes down. Once I learned the shapes, mentally, by playing those scales and those shapes so much, I assigned a shape to the sound, right? Somebody else plays something. In my mind, I hear a sound that's complementary to the sound that person played, and I equate it with a shape. So it goes from a sound in his mind to a shape in his hand. Maybe he's a piano player, and that shape makes a sound that goes to a sound in my mind that causes me to make a shape with my hand, and those two shapes sound really good together when played. Okay. So that's that communication thing. This is why it takes so much time and effort that you have to spend practicing the scales and really listening to what you're playing. And then whenever you're not playing, and this is one of those things that a lot of people will kind of bypass, you got to listen to other musicians that sound the way you want to sound, right? And everyone wants to be unique. That's great. But there are still elements of these other great players. For me, it's John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, and some of the, Joe Pass, Barney Kessel, some of these guys, Herb Ellis. The way they play, that really speaks to me. I hear that music. I hear those sounds and the ideas and the patterns they play. And so I'm learning how to make those shapes to make those particular sounds. Okay. Just something to think about. Kind of put that up here in your noodle and let it roll around for a while. You might find a spot to hang in there, And anyhow, keep practicing, right? And hang in there. Don't give up. Y'all have a good day. All right.